Hey there, Gemini. Welcome to your reading for the week of September 15th. We're going to jump right in here, Gemini. You have this promotion card. It says, elevated earnings come hand in hand with heightened responsibilities. You have this experiment card. It says, when you find yourself feeling indecisive about which direction to go, don't be afraid to experiment with multiple options to figure out what works best for you. Which is crazy because I just spent like the last 20 minutes talking to Aquarius about experimenting at this time. There's something about like Neptune this week. Neptune is on its way back into Pisces. It's not there yet. It won't retrograde officially until October back into Pisces, but there's something about it, and it seems to be affecting you air signs for whatever reason. But there could be something about needing to, try multiple things. I also think for you, Gemini, running multiple experiments would be a good idea with Uranus and Gemini for sure. Now, again, with the Neptune energy, I would make sure that the experiments you're doing or the things that you're working on are like heart-based, are inspired, are coming from an inspirational place as well. I would really pay attention to that. Because again, if you just do something to do something with Neptune, just because you feel, actually, if you do something without feeling, that is the real problem with Neptune, right? Especially Neptune retrograde. So again, I think it's a great time to experiment, try new things, and see what works, right? In your current general energies for the week, you have the Ten of Pentacles, the Strength card, and the Knight of Cups. Ten of Pentacles, like everything you want and desire. This is, I'm not going to sugarcoat it here, Gemini. This is giving me like a tip of the tongue type of feeling. It's like sometimes, I really can't describe how I feel with this, but sometimes in life, I think we're kind of like on the razor's edge. It's like we're very close. Something is on the tip of our tongue. We're very close to figuring something out in our lives, right? But I'm struggling to get it out. Maybe we struggle to get it out, and that's like a little bit of the feeling I have here, where it's almost like you can feel that there's something good coming, maybe, or whatever, but at the same time, it's like you don't see it yet, or it's on the tip of your tongue. And that's how I feel about the Ten of Pentacles. I'm not really sure if that's not really helpful advice, but, I don't know. Maybe it's just saying that you're very close. So, again, that could be good. And I don't really feel this is bad either. But, again, I do feel you're kind of like, it's like you're very close to something. You have the Strength card. Yeah, I feel like you've been patiently waiting. I feel a lot of people have that feeling of kind of like, I've spent so long, trying to get somewhere in life, and maybe people are feeling like they have longer to wait, and that's kind of the feeling I have for you here on this Strength card for whatever reason, Gemini. Again, I don't really feel bad, and I actually don't think you're going to be waiting like much longer, even though it feels like that. The Strength card, she has done the work. She has her hands in this lion's mouth, and she is taming this lion, right? So the lion is her inner voice, her inner critic, her inner demons, but she's the one that's in control. And so I feel a lot of you have done the work. But I also feel like that's what you're saying. It's like you're saying to yourself, I've done the work. Why am I not seeing all the results that I want yet? But, again, I would just keep doing the work. And because, again, I think the results are coming here, Gemini. You have the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups can be a knight in shining armor. And you've been getting love all of a sudden with me. And there is a little bit more love here in this reading. So I do feel that for those of you that want it, there absolutely could be a connection coming in for you with the Knight of Cups. And it looks good, I would say. I really don't have much to add to this Knight of Cups, although what I would say is that with, again, I got this weird like Neptune energy for Aquarius, and definitely with that experimentation card, I would say same thing for you. And the Knight of Cups is very dreamy, so it might be a good week for you. Your reading isn't like Aquarius's reading, but what I would say is that maybe it is a good week to be more dreamy, to tap into your dreams, to when you wake up in the morning, try to remember your dreams and write them down, but also even your daydreams. Paying attention to your daydreams, those moments where your mind wanders and you get those sudden insights. Write those things down. I feel like I've said this to you before, but again, I don't know. There's something about it with this card, the Knight of Cups. It's like if you do that, you could be rewarded, is what I feel like saying. So let's see. With the Ten of Cups, you have two cards. You have the Hangman and the Six of Swords. You have the Hangman again in your reading. So, I'm almost positive that I said to you recently that you're going to get the Hangman for like the next many years, until 2033 probably, with Uranus in your sign. Uranus is going to retrograde back into Taurus in November, but then next year it's going to move back into Gemini. And, Uranus and Gemini is kind of Hangman energy, even though the Hangman is Pisces, doesn't matter. Uranus and Gemini, like the Hangman, brings us new perspectives. It brings us new ways of looking at things. Uranus and Gemini is revolution. It is, revolutionizes the way we do things and changes the way we do things as well. So, you're going to be getting a lot of new perspectives. The good news is you have that Six of Swords. So these new perspectives will be leading to improvements, and probably your Ten of Pentacles, whatever your Ten of Pentacles is for you, Gemini. With the Strength card, you have the Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands is the card of the Wounded Warrior. Nine of Wands is the card of putting up boundaries. With the Strength card, this would kind of be about releasing past hurts. Like, I'm not talking about love either. I'm talking about everything that has hurt you in your life, and to decide to move forward. It's almost like, sometimes I say that the Six of Swords is my back to the drawing board card. Sometimes I feel the Six of Swords comes up when maybe we're not quitting something, maybe we're not like completely changing our life, but we're kind of going back to the drawing board a little bit. It's like we're still doing the same thing, right? But maybe we're trying to reinvent some things in our lives. I kind of get that feeling with the Nine of Wands, where it's saying, like, it's time to, leave the past behind and like have a fresh start. The reading itself is not saying you are having a fresh start. I feel it's saying you should create a fresh start, right? Which is a little bit different. I know that sounds the same, but it's not. But I do feel it's encouraging you to go a little bit back to the drawing board. Now, again, I want to remind you, this does not mean you have to like quit your job or, leave your relationship that's doing perfectly fine or anything like that. It just means that, I feel there could be some, ideas that you're releasing and replacing with new ways of doing things. And, that's really what I would focus on there. Funny enough, the Nine of Wands is my card of experimentation as well. It's my card of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. With the Knight of Cups, you have the Nine of Pentacles, which is great. Nine of Pentacles is gratitude, luxuries, independence, being able to take care of yourself. It's popping into my head, Gemini. I feel like some of you are worried about being able to take care of yourselves. And, again, I feel the Nine of Pentacles is saying, there's nothing to worry about. You are perfectly fine. So if you've been worried, I would let those fears go. I do feel like it would be a good time to focus on, things that you want in life as well. She has this falcon right here, and it represents the fact that she's training her focus. So the Nine of Pentacles is great for, working on focus or being more focused or doing things to be more focused. So there you go. Next, you have this Storyteller card and this Tender Embrace card. This is coming up in the area of what's coming in for you. Again, the Storyteller card says you will receive the story that you tell yourself. So I feel that it's going to be very important that you tell yourself the story you're wanting to hear, in your life, and make sure to do that. A lot of people have had these cards of needing to nurture yourself or needing to put yourself in more nurturing places this week. So it would probably be a good time to nurture yourself and take care of yourself. You have the Seven of Pentacles, the Ten of Swords, and the Hangman. Seven of Pentacles is my card that says, is the juice worth the squeeze? He's looking at these Seven Pentacles. He's saying, is it worth it or not for me to grow these pentacles? And so, again, there's something about you going back to the drawing board, like I said, and maybe reinventing your work or doing your work in a different way. I feel that it is a great time for that, right? To kind of look at how you do look at how you do things and see if there's something better. And so I would definitely pay attention to that with the Seven of Pentacles. But Seven of Pentacles is a change in direction. So I do feel there could be some sort of financial change in direction for you. It looks pretty good. We go Four of Pentacles down to the Ace of Pentacles, which would be like a big opportunity that has a lot of potential. This is the challenge right here. I feel like everybody is dealing with this right now. The Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles is kind of like holding on too tightly to the past. I've been talking about this for years because of Pluto going over the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius. It's like the breakdown of structure Plus, we have Neptune retrograding back into Pisces, which is the dissolution of structure. Things start to dissolve in with Neptune going retrograde in Pisces, the planet, the ruling planet of Pisces. And so, I think a lot of us, it's like we could, and there also, what I want to say is Saturn. Saturn is there as well. Saturn is in Pisces right now, retrograding. And so it's weird that this is happening at exactly the same time, right? Like it's been hundreds of years since this happened before, right? Because rarely is Neptune going to be in a sign with Saturn at the same time, retrograding at the same time, moving forward at the same time next year, right? So what I would say here is that some of us, our structures are being dissolved, but we just have to come up with, new inspirations and new ways of doing things. But also there is new ways. We just have to make sure we're not holding on too tightly to the old ways. It can be a little bit scary because you might feel like you're losing a grasp on your business, or maybe you feel like you're losing your job, even if you're not. Like, you could feel like things might, if I was a, computer programmer nowadays, I would be worried about AI stealing my job, or, if I had a job like that AI could easily steal, I would be worried, right? So it's like, you might be worried, but again, there is that is holding on to the old structure. There's something new that wants to grow, and that's what the Ace of Pentacles says. You have the Ten of Swords, which says it will probably be a blessing in disguise, right? He's making the symbol right here with his hands that represents a blessing in disguise. It represents a blessing, but the Ten of Swords can be a blessing in disguise. And again, I think that's what's going to happen for most people with AI is, speaking of AI, but I don't think this only has to be AI here, Gemini. That's not, I'm just using that as an example. But I think a lot of people will actually will get the blessings out of it. So, definitely something to pay attention to. You have the Hangman, again, seeing things from a new perspective. This is like the next until 2033 for you, almost 10 years, right? So you'll be kind of dealing with this or thinking about this energy. So definitely something to think about. I would pay attention to enlightenment. Again, I've said it to you before, with Uranus in your sign, and until 2033, you are going to have electric ideas, sudden, it's a time of like sudden download, sudden insights for you, things like that. And I'm not trying to be clickbaity here. That's what the astrology says. So, I would be doing whatever you can. Anytime you have a download, write it down on a piece of paper. Keep it somewhere safe so that you can remember it. All that other stuff. But we see a lot of enlightenment here, with the sun as well. With the Seven of Pentacles, you have the Justice card. Yes, we are all discovering that certain things aren't worth it. That's it. Seven of Pentacles, he's looking at those pentacles and he's saying, is the juice worth the squeeze? Justice says, I don't know. Weigh it up, right? The Justice card is about figuring out if something's worth it or not. It's about weighing your options. So, I think a lot of you could be really deciding like what's worth it in your life, what's not worth it in your life. And, I think that would be a really good thing for you. I just saw an interview with another creator, and I can't remember, but basically what the person was saying is, the person that was interviewing them said, what was your best year ever? And I think she said she made like $800,000, like was her best year, right? But then she said that she's making like still high six figures, but not $800,000. But what she said is important. She said, I basically had to kill her. She had to like work herself to death basically to get to that level. And so now she's not having to work herself to death, and she figured out like what she really needs in life to live a good life, and that's, she's perfectly happy making what she is now. And so that is Neptune, right? I think that is a perfect example of like weighing up your options and saying, well, I don't really have to like work myself to death here. I could probably do, XYZ. Maybe I make a little bit less money, but I'll still be able to do the things I want, and there you go. With the Ten of Swords, you have the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups is like fulfillment, wish fulfillment. I think we all probably need to think about what is truly going to fulfill us, like I just said. It's like, what is true fulfillment for you? You might need a lot less than you think, right? And I feel that's what this is saying, is like you need to figure out what true fulfillment looks like for you. With the Hangman, you have the Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords is about seeing things clearly. Again, there is probably a lot of clarity that's coming in for you, at this time, which we've talked about before, with Uranus and Gemini. Uranus loves Gemini. Uranus loves you. Uranus is a higher octave of Mercury. Your ruling planet is Mercury. like, yes, I think Uranus and Gemini is a little bit chaotic at the same time, even though Uranus loves being there. Uranus loves being there because it can be chaotic. That's why. And, but, again, for you, this could lead to a lot of clarity. You could be gaining new insights or new directions, right? Next, in the area of messages from your future self, here we go. This is the perfect card. It says crazy wisdom on it. That is the perfect word for you until 2033 is crazy wisdom. You have this visitor. It says tourist or alien. I'm pretty sure you've had this card with me before. And it is a good time for adventure, by the way. So I think this alien card is saying go do things you've never done before, mix it up. But I think you are gaining a lot of wisdom. You have the Page of Swords, Four of Pentacles, and the King of Cups. I feel like you're doing something again here, Gemini. We were talking about going back to the drawing board, and so maybe some of you did kind of go back to the drawing board in the past, and now you're kind of revisiting whatever you went back to the drawing board on. I don't know what that's popping into my head with the Page of Swords, but I also feel that, again, you have a new perspective at this time. Hangman, twice in your reading. So it's like if you're going back to the drawing board on something again, then you are probably revisiting it to do it in a different way. And, I feel this will be pretty good for you here, Gemini. So again, if you're doing it again, I think it's fine. Next, you have the Four of Pentacles. Like I said, I think we're all doing this. We could all be holding on to an old structure right now because we're afraid that if we let it go, that something bad is going to happen. Literally, you go up to the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles is coming up in the good stuff, so wouldn't really worry about it, Gemini. But I also think, I feel a lot of people feel this right now, where it's like we're seeing something dissolving or starting to dissolve, and we're panicking, but we really shouldn't, because there's probably, again, we will discover something better to do as long as we stay in inspiration. And I feel that is the trick, is to not hold on to something that needs to dissolve in the first place, right? And because we can't, because eventually it's like, yeah, you imagine if you had something that was slowly dissolving. It's like, yeah, you could hold on to it as it started to fall apart, but eventually you would just dissolve. Eventually you would have nothing. So it's better to just, release anything that needs to be released right now so you can work on like actual structure, which is what Saturn wants us to do, especially retrograding. It really wants us to, focus on things that are going to be long term. Next, you have the King of Cups. King of Cups could be a person. I do feel like some of you, you could be attracting a water sign or someone with water in their chart here, Gemini, if you're looking for love. But I also feel that the King of Cups has to do with your home. The King of Cups, I will say, there are a couple cards in the tarot I call clue cards. The King of Cups to me is a clue for the home, or like a change in the home. And you also have the Four of Pentacles here, so it kind of makes sense. But, again, I think that a lot of you could be, it's kind of like there's some sort of change in the home. I also feel like you could be building something, if you are building anything, like building something new, working on a new project, then, I feel very good about this King of Cups. He also has this boat here, and the boat represents traveling into the unknown. And so I think it would be, with the alien card, that visitor card, I think it would be an amazing time for you to like travel into the unknown, do things you've never done before, stuff like that. With the Page of Swords, you have the Sun. Yes, you have the Sun twice. Damn, very good. The Sun is the best card in the tarot, makes the whole entire reading more positive, so definitely a lot of happiness. Yeah, with the Four of Pentacles, you have the Two of Cups. Definitely could be new love coming in for those of you that want it. You always get the Two of Cups, because I know I say to you every single reading that, this could be a person who's different than your usual type. Two of Cups is always someone who's like different than what you would normally go for. But if it works, it works. I really get that. I'm pretty sure I've said this to you like 10 times. I feel I can't get over this feeling that you are like, it's almost like you're taking someone off the market. I feel like that's what I've said to you in like the past 2 readings or something. But it always pops into my head now for you, where it's like, maybe you're attracting a person that gets a lot of attention or something, and it's like, it's almost like you're stealing this person away from, other people. It's like maybe other people are interested, but they just haven't done anything about it, So, I don't know, pretty interesting. With the King of Cups, you have the Magician. Yes, we have to believe in magic, for sure, with Neptune as well, retrograding back into Pisces. So, the next several months until the beginning of the year, basically, it's going to retrograde back. It's retrograding right now, but it will go back into Pisces in October. So between October and like the end of January, basically, We have to, and even beyond that, but, it's extra important right now that we believe in magic, that good things can happen, that we can manifest and, all that other stuff, right? So I would definitely be paying attention to that. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this air card. It says movement, intellect, and freedom. You have this beginner's mind, which is basically what the entire reading is about. It says presence, curiosity, openness, and humility. All those things would be very good. The Page of Swords is like the card of the child. And, there's a child here on this beginner's mind card. So I feel like following your curiosity, tapping into your curiosity, things that interest you, all that would be very good for you here, Gemini. So yeah, that's what I would be doing there. You have the Five of Pentacles, the Sun, and the Ace of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles can represent feeling left out in the cold, but it's coming up in the good stuff. So obviously in the good stuff, you could be coming out of the cold. And definitely if you are attracting love, I feel that you are coming out of the cold. You have the Sun twice. The Sun is not cold. So I feel a lot of you could be kind of like getting into something. I do feel like this is like two people that have been single for a while. So, again, definitely could, it could be a person who's been through something similar as you or someone who's had a similar experience to you. And that's also popping into my head with this card. I also feel that I would really pay attention to your ideas this week with that Ace of Pentacles. We'll talk about it. You have the Sun. The Sun makes the whole entire reading more positive, which is great. So I feel there could be a lot of happiness and joy coming in for you with the Sun. I also feel guidance. The Sun can bring clarity to our lives. So if you've been lacking guidance or if you've been looking for answers or, trying to figure things out, I feel like there could be some answers coming in for you with the Sun. And obviously that would be great. You have the Ace of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles can represent like a big new opportunity coming in for you. So if you've been hoping for like a new opportunity or have been looking for blessings, I definitely feel this could be like a opportunity that has potential that's coming in for you. And, again, like I said on that Five of Pentacles and the Sun, I would be paying attention to anything that jumps into your head this week because, again, it could just be your ticket, to success. And that's what I would pay attention to with this Ace of Pentacles is opportunities. They might be bigger than you think. With the Five of Pentacles, you have the Temperance card. I feel like you've been waiting a long time. And, if like I said at the beginning of the reading, it's like something is on the tip of my tongue, I feel like that's how you feel. It's like you feel like something's close, but it's like maybe you can't see it or, you don't know where it is or what to do or whatever. And so I feel that for a lot of you with the Temperance card. With the Sun, you have the Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles is straightforward, diligent work. It is like picking one thing and making it happen, which I feel is what everybody should be doing, especially next year. We could start this year, though. There's no reason we couldn't. And so, next year, by February, Neptune moves back into Aries in January, Saturn in February. And then, basically, I would say the beginning of March is when this is really going to kick off. But we should be focusing on one thing at a time. And we should be focused really on completing things. The trick with the Aries energy is to see things through to the end. And that's basically what I would do there. With the Ace of Pentacles, you have the Five of Swords. Yes, this is going to be a risk right here. The Ace of Pentacles, the Five of Swords and the good stuff is about taking a risk. And so I feel that for some of you, there could be an opportunity that comes in for you that feels a little bit risky. But I would jump on that opportunity because it'll probably be very good for you. You have this bird flying card. It says news is on the way. Yeah, if you've been waiting for communication, I thought I saw something else in here. I mean, the knights can be messengers. You have the Knight of Cups here. So again, if you're waiting for communication from a person or waiting to hear back on something, definitely could be news. You have this dragon. It says beware of self-delusion. Yes, Neptune and Pisces. Neptune's not in Pisces yet, but we're getting very, very close. So I always tell people astrology is like a wave. We can catch a wave early and before the planet moves back, forwards, whatever, right? And if we do that, then we are working with the energy and better things will happen. So the thing with Neptune and Pisces, especially retrograde, is that it can be a little bit delusional. It can make us believe things that aren't true or that maybe are kind of true but not fully true, right? It kind of blurs reality. And so it's not about not believing things. It's just about saying like, okay, it's like what it wants us to do is not overcommit to an idea. It just says like, just see how things go. Don't need something to work a certain way. The more flexible you can be, the better. You have this mountain card. It says major challenge to overcome. I feel like saying this is a mountain you want to climb. Ace of Pentacles. There are these mountains right here, right through this archway. The Ace of Pentacles can require work, but usually it's worth it. So, don't be afraid of doing something. Don't be afraid of going back to the drawing board is what I feel like saying. You have this tree card. It says affairs with your family. Yeah, it's a good time for family. Good time to like tap into that energy. You have the sun card. It says happiness and well-being. 3 sun cards in this reading. So, ultimately, there's a lot of happiness in this reading here, Gemini. So that's good. But yeah, this looks pretty good. So thank you for being here and definitely enjoy your week.